Hey everyone, I'm Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com, and today we're looking at articulated landing gear for the Carbon Z Cub. These are made by cublandinggear.com. They're handmade and super trick, and I just am going to walk you through installing them on your Cub. I'm also going to put on some new wheels and tires that I think are going to help, and I'll talk about that along the way. So let's get going. So let's talk about the stock landing gear for a second. Basically, we have just a nice piece of wire, heavy gauge, and then a thinner gauge wire in the back. There have been issues with this after a while loosening up in here and vibrating and causing rattles. And I don't really have an issue with this landing gear, but then again, I haven't been flying with it a lot. I have heard that it will bend out and other things, but I think if you want to stay stock, I think that's fine. I will say though, these are foam. You can squeeze them, but they're super hard foam, and you can see the wear I've put on them. They're good for grass, but I have a little video from the field, and man, if I came in and just turned a little bit, these things would just start skipping and hopping. It didn't look good at all. It looked bad. Plus, it would tip me up on my wing. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out. And you'll see one mod I made as we remove this gear. Of course, you have to undo your screws, but I already did that. I put Velcro on here, soft Velcro, to keep it from rattling around in there in the future. Not needed now because I'm pulling these out. I'm also going to get rid of these stock wheels. And then what we're going to do is go back in with our Cub landing gear. And so there's tabs on the front and the back, and these fit exactly into your slots for the stock gear. Of course, there's no tabs in the back, so what I'm going to do, I think what I'll do is put screws in the front and get that locked down, and then I'm going to drill some holes back here and add the other screws. Well, I would have liked to gone back with Allen heads just like these, just in case I needed to do something in the field. I did not have that, so I'm going to go back with servo screws that I had in the toolbox. Alright, so we're all secured and articulating. So these are the wheels I got. You can get Cabans, and they're lighter and they're more expensive. I just went with these because I could get them. Now the only drawback to these tires is that they're 50% heavier, but they're much more spongy. And you can put air in there, and I've had a pair like this before. You don't really want to put air in there, you want it to take the hit. So we'll put these big boys on and see what we get. Okay, hit a couple of snags. The first snag was the hole in the wheel wasn't big enough, so I got a drill bit, and I started out small and just kept getting slightly bigger until it fit. The other thing to be aware of is that there is masking tape here, which I'm sure was there so you could, this is primer gray, and I'm sure it's there so you can paint it with whatever color you want. I thought gray worked fine for me, so I just left it as is. The other problem I found was the collar here has a screw, and a lot of collars have, you know, the threaded part goes into the collar itself, so nothing sticks out. The problem is this wheel has screws in it and then nuts on the back. So the nuts were hitting this piece on the collar and they wouldn't rotate. So I went and looked for collars, but I didn't have any of that size. I didn't have anything I could replace these screws with. So I thought, what can I do? And I was like, washers. So that's what I did. I put 2 washers in there. And it looks like that's going to work. So I'm going to go back to putting everything back together. So this is it, the articulating Carbon Cub landing gear. We have rubber bands to help with landings. If you need stiffer articulation, you can put on more rubber bands. I have one on each, and then it's double wrapped. And then also the soft tires are hopefully going to help with my landings. The hard, let's just look at these again. I mean, you can't even squeeze them. And if I went to turn, instead of, they would just skitter down the runway. It was embarrassing, would be the word actually. And so, I mean, what a trick little unit for the Carbon Z Cub, a plane that definitely deserves a little attention like this. I'm excited to get it out and see how much I like it. I already like it. So, well, we couldn't finish the review, or at least the video, unless we took it out to the field to see how it actually flew. And here we are just kind of shaking the gear, looking at the articulation, looking at the tires and what kind of abuse they can take. And then I told Jason that now's the time for the 7-foot drop, which we're not going to do. But that's what they look like on the plane. I had people asking about them before I even took off. So everyone wanted to know what those were and where to get them. And now we'll jump into the air and do a couple of landings and just take a look at and see how they work. So we're rolling out with our new fancy gear. Do a little testing on the ground. Those stock wheels would not let me do that, that's for sure. And now we'll just do some touch and goes and keep an eye on the landing gear. So that took a pretty good hit. And of course the tires are taking a good hit too. Nice and stable. No skittering. I have 2 rubber bands on each side of each landing gear. So that's 8 total. And that seemed to be the magic number. So this definitely solved my problem. No more skittering, jumping, hopping. Great on asphalt. Great ground handling characteristics. And I think Jim from CubLandingGear.com really did a great job on these. They look trick, they are trick, and they solve my landing problem. So go check them out. I've got a link in the description. I'm Jim Graham with RCGroups.com.